Welcome, you nerd family, and welcome to another episode of Gamesymaspod, the podcast where we're talking about all things board games, video games, and pop culture. On today's episode, we are going to be talking about this new and up-and-coming and amazing board game, guys. You're going to have to check it out, called Exoterra. We've got the creator of the board game here. Jared, thank you so much for joining us. We're super excited to talk about this board game it's going to blow the shelves away. And Omar can back me up on this. We have Omar here on this. If you like mechs, if you like gundams, if you like those type of esque animes and types of robots and things like that, you're gonna love this board game, guys. If you want to ask us any questions, or want to get a hold of us, talk to us, or just send us any questions or any ideas that you want for the podcast, you guys can find us on all socials. We're on X, we're on Facebook, we're on TikTok, we're on Instagram, we're on Facebook. You can find us at Gamesymaspod. That is at Gamesymaspod. Send us a message, give us a follow, and let us know that you're watching and that you enjoy our videos, because I really appreciate those comments. Or let us know what we're doing wrong, because I like criticism too as well, so I can adjust and stuff like that. Or if you want to email us, you can find us at gamesymaspod@gmail.com. That's gamesymaspod@gmail.com. So, with all that being said, guys, pull up a chair, grab some dice, y acompáñame a jugar. Jared, Omar, thank you guys so much for joining the pod here. Yes, we're super excited. I know I'm excited. I've been looking forward to this episode. I know life gets in the way, so we've kind of been back and forth trying to schedule a pod episode, but I'm excited. We got it here. We're here now. We're ready to go. Omar, you excited for this?
I'm very excited to talk about this new game.
Yeah, look at the excitement. He looked at excitement on this thing here. But before we get started with the pod episode and diving deep into this, we do have the icebreaker questions that we like to ask all our guests, our new guests here to the pod here. You might have heard them, Jared. You might have not heard them, but we're gonna throw them at you and we're gonna get you going here with this. And so it's a two-part question. Omar, we've already gotten your answers to that. If you guys want to check that out, go check out the episode that we did with our top. We did an episode of movies that were made into video games. Great episode, awesome stuff that we talked about there. You'll hear Omar's answers with that. But Jared, here we go. Let's ask you the two questions that the icebreaker questions, and then we'll get your answers and see what your answers are. I'm very curious to know what your answers are for this one's here. So, first question is, what is your favorite board game of all time? And when I say board game, again, I'll reiterate this and clarify more. Board games, genre of board games could be card games, tabletop games, dice games, party games, whatever you enjoy the most. We'll throw that in that category. So that's the first question. And the second question is going to be, what is your favorite video game of all time? And again, I'm not excluding excluding only to just console games, or them, console PC games, even arcade games. If you like playing, Street Fighter as a kid during arcades or whatever, I'll include all that as well. I'll give you a quick second to come up with the answers. Unless you got them, you're ready to roll. We can go with that.
Yeah.
Oh, he's great. I love it when you're ready to roll. So go ahead, Jared. Give us your answers. Start off this icebreaker.
So favorite board game, I think that's easy for me. It's going to be Zaya. It's a Cody Miller game. Mm-hmm. I'm a real big fan of games that have just this open nature to them, where I can kind of forge my own path, do whatever it is that I think is fun or optimal, or what just kind of looks like it's interesting in the moment. And games that let me kind of build a narrative or build a story, taking turns and trading resources and all that kind of stuff is really fun. But when there's a sequence of turns from players or the game itself, and then you kind of think wait a minute, this guy went here and he did that and I got that, and then I bamboozled you, and then this really cool thing happened. Those are the moments that I love, that make me love board games and sharing.
Yeah, for sure.
So Zaya is definitely my number one game, and I will buy anything that Cody Miller ever makes.
Nice. Okay. I don't think I've ever heard of Zaya before, to be honest.
Oh man!
But you piqued my curiosity now. Omar, you've heard about that?
No, I actually, this is the first time I'm hearing that. And then he said too, is you create your own path. I'm like, that sounds, really interesting. I wouldn't mind playing that.
No, for sure. We're definitely gonna have to go.
And those games can have a perilous kind of pitfall where the ending could maybe be anticlimactic, right? Because everyone's doing their own thing, and you're getting points in whatever way you want. And then the game can end without a sense of a finale or a big moment.
Right.
And those are some of the lessons that I'm trying to take and bring into Exoterra, because it's really important for me to be able to provide that kind of like, I guess sandbox is a good term, but just
Okay.
providing the player with the ability to, hey, interact with this game however you want, you know?
Interesting, Zaya. I'll definitely put that on my list. Check it out. You've hooked me on that one. I want to check that one out.
Real quick, you mentioned that you're gonna want to implement that into Exoterra. That'd be really interesting to actually kind of play that once the game is out and you actually go ahead and do that inside there.
Let's see how
It'd be
that's.
cool to see. Yeah,
Yeah, true. Hey, but we'll get to that in a
Oh,
minute, bro. We on the icebreakers, bro. We on the
Yeah,
we on the
my
icebreakers.
bad. You said
Don't be teasing.
Exoterra, man. I got excited.
Yeah, I know.
when
All
you
right,
said
no,
that.
dude. Yeah, hey, don't be teasing the crowd like that, bro. Well, we gotta get to these icebreaker questions here. Stuff like
It's
that.
nothing wrong with a little teaser, man.
Yeah, I mean, true. I mean, you're right. Okay, so Zaya's your number one board game. Let's go over to your video game if you got one. If not, we can keep going. But do you got
That,
any video game? I know
oh
that's a
yeah, I
loaded
mean,
question.
it's a hard question, man. It's so
Yeah,
hard.
it is.
I think so. I'm going to say one, and I'm going to say that it's like my runner-up is Battlefield. I
Okay.
love Battlefield because it just makes the moments and the destruction, and again, like that sandbox of I can approach any situation however I'm clever enough to come up with.
Yeah.
But I can't pick it because I have to go with probably the game that I put most of my time into in my life, which is StarCraft. Like StarCraft is one
Ah.
of the games that got me into video games,
Yeah.
and I spent a lot of time obviously just playing the game of StarCraft. But StarCraft came with this map editor, and I've tinkered with making games since I was a little kid, but StarCraft is where I went full bore because you can go in there and you can make RPGs, you can make you can program the logic to make a shooter or this or that, and I spent
Really?
more time throughout my whole life just in StarCraft making games.
Really
It's also a
nice.
creative outlet. Yeah, man, it's a
Okay.
fantastic thing.
I didn't know you could do that. I thought it was just more just an RTS, but I didn't know you can expand it to make it into
Oh yeah.
anything pretty much. That's pretty awesome. Who do you like to rock with mostly with StarCraft?
I mean, if I play the melee, I'm Protoss.
Protoss.
That's I like that high. I like micro more than macro, and obviously with Protoss, you can make less units and they're more powerful. So that gives me
Yeah.
I can move my Zealots and keep them from dying and stuff.
Yeah. So Battlefield was your runner-up. Is there a specific Battlefield game that you enjoy particularly?
Yeah, I was gonna ask.
Ah man, so the first one that I played like 2042 or not 2042, the like 1942 when I was a kid, but I didn't get into it until Battlefield 3, which I have great memories of. But probably my favorite Battlefield is 5. I just love the World War II setting, and that game got a lot of hate, but I just felt like the movement was great, the
Hmm.
destruction was great, building the fortifications and the sandbags and stuff. I just love that, man. Battlefield 5 is cream of the crop.
Okay, cool guys. So there you have it. Jared's top board game, Zaya, top video game is going to be StarCraft with the runner-up of Battlefield. Great choices, excellent choice in video games. Interesting choice with the board game. Zaya, I've never heard it before, and now I'm intrigued. Might have to talk more about it afterwards to figure it out, or I might just go ahead and try it out at my local board game store. Just go open it up and rock it. Omar will set a date for that. We'll go for that. We'll
hopefully.
go check that one. Yeah, super soon. But let's get down to the meat and let's get down to the stuff that we're here for. Let us talk about Exoterra. Oh my goodness, what a phenomenal game. And for those of you listening, we're going to give you a quick rundown of the game. Jared, if you want to do your elevator pitch, your sales pitch of a 2-minute, 3-minute quick pitch of what is Exoterra, the gist of it, and then we'll dive deeper into that so we can let our viewers and listeners and watchers that are watching, thank you guys so much for watching us again, let them know what is Exoterra and this game that you created. Go ahead. The floor is yours.
Sure, thanks. Exoterra, game I've been working on for about 4 years. It's a campaign game with a sci-fi setting, and it's cooperative. So you're playing in this universe, far-flung, other solar system, and essentially it's kind of like a skirmish combat game, but instead of normal characters, you're pilots that are in these massive mechanical weapon systems that I call jackets. So you're trying to figure out how to work with your teammate, how to accomplish these objectives, how to battle your enemies, and the star of the game to me is a couple different things. Is there's a lot of depth of complexity in card play as you are customizing your deck throughout the campaign. But another really important aspect of the game, and one of the things that I wanted to make sure that I could create, was more of a narrative kind of experience, and more of an experience where the enemies that you're fighting are not just these dummy characters, and they're going to move to you and punch you, and you're going to kill 20 of them and you guys win, right? These are other jacket pilots, and they're cunning, or they're brave, or they have flaws because they're humans as well.
Yeah.
So one of the really cool parts, and one of the newer things that we've been working on, maybe I'll be able to show you guys in a few days or in a couple weeks or something.
Definitely. Sure.
We've built this really cool system where each of the players kind of has this pool of bad guy pilots that may come around. And when you're playing in a session of the game, things are going to happen. Maybe you defeat that pilot, or they escape, or they're killed, or this collateral damage in the city happens, or the players don't complete this side objective. And then after you play, based on what happens, those pilots either are taken out of the game, or maybe they get additional equipment because you didn't fulfill some of these objectives. Maybe they get shell shock or trauma or something like that, and they evolve as you play. So it puts this onus on the player of, oh gosh, this is Tommy, he's that hit and run guy. You guys remember him from 3 games ago. Well, he's back, and now he's got these crazy grenades too.
Nice.
So I'm trying to build this world, right? And I want to have this tactical and challenging experience, but I want players to really connect in and be like, that enemy, how does my enemy have a quest? Or how is this enemy in love with that one? And if I hurt that one, this one's going to go crazy and just decimate us. I want to make those moments for my players because, like I said, those are the cool narrative moments where I think board games really shine.
Yeah, for sure, definitely. That's awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that. And it shows the heart and the thought into the game from what we've played. Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure it's advanced since the time we've played, and I'm excited to try it again. But yeah, it's a fun game. I got hooked when you were talking about jackets and kind of mech type stuff. And I love the Gundam series, the Gundam Wing series. So I was able to relate more to it, where it's like I got more invested into this suit that I was creating, this pilot that I made, that I chose, and into this campaign that you've created. Omar, what are some of your thoughts when you first tried out this game?
No, I mean I enjoyed it every time I played it. I mean it reminded me of Mech Warriors. I mean I know I kind of bring that up all the time. Mech Warriors, it's a lot of like, oh man, this is actually a big world, and hopefully later on down the road, I can see more and more of this. But even though the way it is I enjoyed it a lot. Every time you bring it out, or every time I run into, I talk to Vic all the time. I'm like, hey man, let's hit up Jared. I want to play Exoterra. Let's try it out.
He really does. He really does.
I see you. I know I'm on your Discord. I'm like, I see him. I'm like, oh, is he playing testing? Let me just jump in real quick. Hey Jared, can I jump in real quick?
I'm like, hey man, leave the man alone. He's trying to get his product out, bro. He ain't got time for you bothering like that.
No, I mean that's a really cool thing to bring up though, because I have some really, really great playtesters. It's a commitment, right? I have to ask people a lot to embark upon this journey of helping me hone some of these things. But the cool part about it is I've been able to find some people that the project really resonates with, and the feedback they give me, I take that and I've run with it. If mechanics don't work, or if they have ideas of things that they're excited about it, like, dude, it would be cool if my giant robot could do this. And I'm like, I could probably make that work. Let me make that, right? So the playtesters' voices are really heard, which I think is a cool part. I'm trying to build this community, right? It's really difficult, but I want to make that rewarding for the people who do participate.
Yeah, interesting. And I probably should have asked this question at the beginning, but why Exoterra? Why create Exoterra for this game? What was the end goal for you when you wanted to create this? I know you kind of said it a little bit earlier when you were saying about the game, how you wanted to create this story, this dynamic with others. But what kind of created with I'm gonna go with mechs, I'm gonna go with jackets, I'm gonna go with this, other than I'm just gonna create a fantasy game, so like that you decided went with the sci-fi element. So why Exoterra?
So for me, I decided to make the game that I wanted to play. I felt that there wasn't a game, like you said, giant mecha, that are being, with a lot of depth and a lot of really cool customization Like I'm a Magic the Gathering player. I love deck building. I love giant robots. I love narratives. I love sandboxing. When I surveyed the landscape of games, I was like, I don't think that there's a game for me. And I've got this long history of always making mods for games and content for Zaya and Eldritch War and all these games. And I was like, maybe I can make this, and I can make the game that I want to play. And hopefully, some other people will think that this is the game they want to play too.
Definitely, yeah. It is. Like I said, you've attracted a big crowd, big following, and you're growing big. And like I said, this is one of these games where I can see the future of it getting big. I can see the expansions. I can see the campaigns, legacy-esque type of board game. I know Omar agrees with me. Omar, what's a aspect of this board game that you really like popped out towards you, like it
Well,
popped for you?
it's just something different, like I never seen this. I mean, of course, they kind of introduced me more into the board game area, but also too, like me and Jared is like I'm like I never seen this kind of game before. It's like if you look around, what kind of game is there like this? It's kind of like a cooperative. You can literally play by yourself. I know you kind of mentioned that too. You can play by yourself, or if you have a wife or a girlfriend, or just friends in general. It's like you don't want to compete against them, because that's kind of like the more of the board game aspect. You're always competing against your friends. You're making rivalries, enemies. And this game comes out. It's like, well, we're not enemies no more. We're friends. I gotta help my buddy out real quick, make sure he gets to go home at the end of the day, kind of thing. And and it's just really fun. It's like again, I never seen this. I enjoy it. Every time I played it. It's like, and it's something new. And it's just really great. You know.
Definitely, yeah. I mean, I'm a big sucker for co-op games. I love co-op games. I prefer them a little bit more over competitive games. I mean, I love a good competitive game because I love trash talking a little bit when it comes to competitive game. But co-op
Yeah.
games, it's like, hey, bro, this is ride or die, man. We hit it or we lose it together, man. It's like,
Yeah. Most definitely.
So there's a couple like interesting things I think to hone in there on cooperative and competitive and stuff.
yeah,
So one of like the pitfalls that I see in a lot of cooperative games is like I guess there's two phases. One is like the quarterback element, right? You have to figure a way to like try to not let it be monopolizable, if that's a word.
yeah,
And
yeah.
then the other half, or the other common problem that I see sometimes is this concept of multiplayer solitaire. Like you guys are playing together to do a thing, but you're only just all doing your thing, and you're
Mhm.
just in the room with each other playing
Yeah,
a game together, but
yeah.
there's no interaction. So I've tried to tackle that in a couple ways. Like one, making sure that there's a lot of interesting ways to interact or need or help your friends, so that you're not just playing multiplayer solitaire. But with this whole enemy thing, right? And each player kind of has their pool of guys, and what I've done is instead of having like the bad guys in the game and your game master kind of runs that. What that was leading to is a situation where one player kind of monopolized all that strategic information. Like they knew what the enemies did, they learned them, and everyone else just kind of sat around and waited for the enemies
Right.
to do
Yeah.
stuff at them. So then I took that and I said, okay, well then each of the players is going to have a responsibility of running this guy, right, and being kind of having the knowledge of what they do, and it makes really funny moments in the game because it's like, dude, Omar, your guy just walked all the way over here and totally decimated me. Like, why didn't you give me a heads up? You know what your guy is about to do, right? And you're like, sorry, dog, I don't know. But then you could be the hero. Like Omar could be like, hold on, Jared, I wouldn't go that far because this guy's going to get a turn soon, and like he does this thing that is just going to be a huge problem for you. And you're like, oh, well, thanks, dude. I don't want that to happen. So I
Yeah.
think it. I think there is that like fun moment of you can poke at your friends, but you're still helping them out.
Oh, definitely, for sure. Yeah, and yeah, I like it. I like what you said about like how you're trying to make it not the quarterback-esque co-op game, but also not the solitaire-esque kind of single game. That what came to mind was like I think I could compare it with like the extreme of the quarterback-esque to be like Captain Sonar, where like that's a fun game to play where you have every rules, but when you're the captain, like you're pretty much telling everyone what to do. And like yes, they have their own roles, but eventually you're gonna take over and be like, no, let's do this, that, so you can like be super,
Yeah.
quarterbatic. Or the other end of the spectrum where it's like you're working together, but you're also like just not working together because you're trying to compete with her is like the legendary games, like Marvel Legendary, Alien Legendary, where it's like yeah, you're working to try to go up against the game, but you're also like competing against each other to get the most points at the end of the game. So it's like you're co-op, but you're not co-op, but you gotta like so it's. I can see where you're trying to find the balance between those two type of games, and I think you did. You
Tricky.
did. Yeah, it is tricky, and It could go either way, one-sided. Especially if you had more changes, you could slide it towards more of this, slide it more towards this. But I mean, from what we've played, you've had a good balance with that. You've done a good job with that. Scott's not here, but I'm sure Scott can agree with that he enjoyed playing that one as well. I will say though, I give it as much praise, but I gotta give it a little bit of a con of the board game. Is the complexity of it a little bit for those that are listening to that want to try it out? It is a little bit on the higher, not super high, but it's a little bit on the higher end of complexity. I'm not saying it's like Twilight Imperium or like these other intense games, but it's a little up there with understanding the rules. I mean, you did a phenomenal job explaining to us how to play, how the turn goes, and you're running it through us. And I believe we kind of even told you like towards the end at the end of the game like some things that were a little too complex, stuff like that, and I'm pretty sure you might have implemented some of that stuff, which is awesome. But I would say like if you're looking into this game, try it out for sure. Try it out. Just be ready for just a little bit of some brain power just to figure out turns and stuff like that. But like it's one of those like with all board games. Once you run a couple rounds, you just get the flow of it, and you start going, you start running, you start rolling with it, you start going with it, and that can be said for every board game. What do you think, Omar?
No, it's the same thing. It's like, I mean, the way you explained it was really fun. That's why we kind of like, just teach us while we play the game. Which it actually did help out a lot. But I would say, I mean, it's a little bit up there. I wouldn't say how Twilight Imperium or so. That's very extreme or so. But no, I mean, it's kind of up there. Not in a bad way or so, but it's still understandable. It's like again, it's not Twilight Imperium or most other games that are really difficult to get into. But again, that's why I really enjoy Exoterra, and now that I understand it a bit more, and I'm pretty sure people who get into the game will understand it as well once they play the first round or so. They'll be like, okay, cool, I can get the hang of it, and then introduce it to other people. It'll be a lot more easier also to kind of explain the rule set. So, but other than that, great job. That's great job.
Well, thank you. And talking about like lessons learned from the playtesters, like you guys brought that to me and said there was a lot of information up front, a lot of mechanics that you need right away. So what I've been trying to do is to pare that down and say like this is the minimum viable product to start playing the game, right? And maybe that's to rulebook page 25, and it says stop, go play the game. And then a lot of the more advanced elements, maybe I drip feed that into the players as they go to sorting number 2, 3, 4, 5. So I can A, get it to the table faster, and B, not overload you with things that maybe weren't even be relevant for some time. And one other really big lesson learned that I have is, I'm lucky with the playtest groups to have folks that they're not the target audience. They're not my super fan. They're not into those heavier board games, but they've stuck with me because they know how important the project is to me. So those people, like when they get to the later parts of the campaign where I increase the complexity for like the players' decks and the way that their jackets work, those players were like, look, I know that like I've been playing 50 hours or because they play multiple campaigns, and I should know now like how to grasp these concepts, but like this hike of complexity is just too much for me. So that was a great lesson for me of I always need to have a level 1 complexity jacket across the entire level for those people that want to play, but they're not interested in like the hyper cerebral combo creation deck editor. So as we get more people looking at the project, I think that curve of difficulty is just going to get better and better and better.
Interesting. And when it comes to this game, what is the player count that you're thinking is the ideal player count that you say, hey, if you have this amount of players, it'll work perfectly or it'll be good? Not to saying that if you have less players, it won't work perfectly, but like, what's the ideal number for you that you're thinking of when it comes to this your board game?
Yeah, so I've struggled really hard to try to get true solo to work, and because I want to appeal to that crowd. Ultimately, I felt like it was a detriment to the game to have a true solo experience. So the minimum player count is 2, and I personally feel like the game shines really, really well at 3 and 4. Obviously, more players means more downtime, but the game kind of auto scales. How many enemies there are, that's standard stuff, but how often that the enemies are taking turns based on the player's turns. So regardless of player count, there should be approximately the same number of player turns to bad guy turns. But three players is a really fun experience because it's a little bit fat. You get access to playing the game quicker. But four has more going on, right? Because there's more bad guys, so there's more opportunities to interact and stuff. So I would say that 3 and 4.
Okay, 3 and 4. And are you making 4 like the max count, or can you go a little bit higher than that, or is that, or you would make like
So because those bad guys that you fight are the same level of cunning and deadliness as you, I have to be careful with how many of them I have out and on the field and need to be dealt with at any time. So, and for two ways, like one, just difficulty because they are deadly and hard enemies, but two, like I want to keep the cerebral load on the player lower, right? They have a lot to focus on with making their jacket tick. And then, now they're looking at this sandbox of activity of the enemies and stuff. So I have to be careful with how much I put out there. So I feel like if I move to 5 players, then I need more bad guys, which increases the cerebral load. So it's like this recursive thing. That being said, I've never tried it with 5. So
might have to try it. Might have to bring in the crew over here, Omar. Bring the crew and see how it plays out.
Real quick though, I know just back to the 2-player thing. Can I play the game? Say like if I'm by myself. I know your game implements a computer mechanism, right? Like an AI. You introduced it to us, correct?
It did, but honestly, that implementation just didn't pan out. It didn't provide the appropriate experience. It required a lot of admin and bookkeeping that was kind of weird and not second nature to the player. So instead, I've shifted to having the systems activate and the enemies present based on the number of players there to a minimum of 2. So if you wanted to play by yourself today, you would have to do a dual-handed setup.
Okay. All right.
Okay. So kind of like Zombicide, where if like you're playing solo, you gotta take on more survivors rather than just you be yourself, kind of like that, which makes sense.
And I struggle, guys. Like I struggle really hard trying to get the true solo work because I know that there are a lot of people out there that want to play by themselves. But like I think that you have to be honest with yourself at some point. Like, does that even make sense for your game? Like, if you're building an experience that wants players doing things with each other and to each other and for each other, and then you take that down to one person without having like a minion thing beside you, then that experience kind of falls flat. And I have to make choices of what goes in the box, right? Like if I have to add 50 cards to allow true solo, and it's like a watered down experience, that adds weight to the box and dollars to the box, and it makes it harder for me to make the game.
Yeah, a little bit of the components that we can dive into a little bit is obviously you have it on Tabletop Simulator, so you have more of that freedoms to kind of create things like that. With the actual physicality of the game, I know when you presented at OrcCon, you kind of had like a base prototype, very rough down, kind of just paper and stuff like that. Are you looking to make it into a board, or are you actually looking to do tiles? Are you going to stick with just kind of like the journal-esque type, where like you open up the journal and that's the map, you can use the map kind of things? What are your thoughts on that? What are you trying to do with the physicality of the actual board game?
Sure. So I think that in the whole tiles versus book aspect, like tiles. So I want the game to take place over several like tile sets, right? If you're in space or on an ice moon or in a lush forest, right? So what that does to me is it makes it to where my tiles are going to be limited in what they have on them, and how many it can be in the box. So then you make a tile cluster, right? 4 or 5 or whatever the number is for a hex group. But then that limits me on the design of my maps. Like I only have so many tiles that can be arranged in so many orientations. So then that limits how many cool little map things that I can make. So ultimately, I felt like to hit the monetary requirements to make the game, but also to give me the creativity to make more worlds and more interesting maps. Probably go with spiral bound books. And right now there's the idea is to have 3, so that the sortie would tell you to put these 2 this way and this one this way. So maybe you have like an L-shaped map or something like that.
That's cool.
So that's the idea for the maps. And then for everything else, right, obviously, like I think there's 1,000 cards in the box right now, which is a problem. It's very expensive. I'm trying to fix that.
Jeez, man, that's a lot of cards.
Yeah, it's a lot of cards. But then one of the aspects we're trying to figure out right now is like you remember the player tableau had dice, right, that you would modify based on like the systems of your jacket. But it turns out custom printed dice are really expensive. So Yeah, working with the graphic designer now, we're working with Jovial Graphics, who's been really, really great, and trying to figure out ways like, okay, maybe a dial is a better way to do that, and it's a cheaper thing to produce. Or can we do the graphic design in a way that communicates what that spot is, but I can use a standard D6, and I don't have to, put a lot of cost to the consumer to pay for fancy dice. And it's a bummer, right? Because I'm not Awaken Realms and I'm not Snowmar Games, and I can't have these amazing components, right? I have to make some quality choices, and maybe if we're lucky and there's success, then we can have things like stretch goals to make that better.
Definitely, no, yeah, for sure, definitely. I like that idea. I like that little dial thing. The dial thing is a pretty cool, lifty idea to have. I like the dice.
Feels good.
Yeah, it feels
That
good
would
to
be
like
interesting to
turn
see.
it. Yeah, when you're bringing up your shields or what I forgot what it's called
Yeah.
with your the different types of core systems that you have on your mech. The dial would be pretty cool. It'd be interesting to see. I like the dice mechanic. It was cool, but I can see how it might be a bit costly to get that going, especially if you're trying to get custom made.
It's such an interesting
Yeah,
challenge. Like when you're at the beginning of this project, I mean, I'm learning a lot, right? I'm a first timer, and I have these Discord groups with other first timers, and we learn from each other. But it's just so
yeah,
interesting because at the start of the journey, you're just like, I want to make this cool experience, and like, oh, I have a great idea, but it adds 100 cards, whatever. But
yeah,
then when you're at the later phase, you're like, okay, I need to convey this information, and I can do it with these three pieces that are already in the game. Like, how do I
yeah,
do this, right?
right.
And it's so weird to just make design decisions. I mean, it's probably not weird for the professionals, but it's weird for the phase that I'm at now. Like, okay, now I
Yeah,
have to think about actually creating this thing.
yeah.
So everything has to be looked under with that lens.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Is there, Omar? Is there like an aspect of the game that you kind of wish you might see a little bit implemented that it might have been missing? Maybe like some miniatures. I mean, I know miniatures are like
No, yeah,
super,
miniatures are pretty cool,
super,
and
but
and
man,
expensive. Yeah, they're expensive
yeah,
too. It's just
super
one mold.
expensive.
I think it's like
The
about
molds.
10 grand, 10 grand or stuff for one mold and stuff.
Yep.
Jeez,
And then
man.
if you want to change your one's piece like this, that's another 10 grand. And I'm like, wow, that's quite a lot.
Yeah, and we're
But
working on it. We're working on that. So we're going to Gen Con, and I was lucky enough to have some events that sold out with people that are going to try the game, which is super exciting. But
Yeah,
I thought it would be a cool reward just to show my appreciation for these people. So I got a 3D artist right now. I think he's wrapping up a design for one of the jackets, and I'm gonna have a bunch printed, and I want to gift those to the people who join the event or anyone that stops to talk with me and stuff like that. And like
yeah,
the dream would be that if I could get those made, and maybe there's an add-on the Kickstarter where we could have miniatures, at least for the good guys. That would be.
yeah. No, that'd be
no,
cool to
yeah.
see. That definitely cool to see.
Uh, Real quick, are you gonna have like later on down the road character creation or so? Create your own pilot. I know you have the jacket. It comes standardized. I think you pick your weapons, but I want to see if down the road, you're gonna have pilot character creation. At least have the abilities. Not you're gonna have the same picture, same pilot looking, pretty cool, but as ability wise, is that something you might be implementing down the road, or we might see soon?
Yeah, no, that is a big focus, especially because of the direction that we're going with the bad guys being this like really important narrative character in the battle, and like them evolving over the course of several playthroughs. It only makes sense that that same kind of narrative weight is applied to the player's character, right? And there's been this journey of who the player is in my game. Initially, you were a commander because the pilot that you put in your jacket was someone who could die if your jacket was destroyed, but so you couldn't be the pilot. But then it's just a simple narrative mechanic change of when you're defeated, you simply retreat, and now you are the pilot, and I can put weight and I can put your footprint in the world. And right now it's like a minute presence, um, but to your point, uh, it is on my to-do list to figure out how to better flesh out the player's evolution of themselves in the game. Um, it's a space that I haven't double clicked on a lot yet because I've been focused on some other elements, but I definitely want to check that box.
You mentioned Gen Con. That's super exciting, man. You're heading over to the big daddy of board gaming conventions, the Comic Con of board gaming conventions over there in Indianapolis. Super excited for you there. And if anyone's watching this or listening to wherever you guys are listening, go to ChenCon, go take a peek at this game, Exoterra. But super excited. Everything. What is the future looking like for Exoterra now? Now that you explained it, I know you got Gen Con coming up. What are the next steps you want to go? I'm pretty sure you want to get it going on Kickstarter. I'm pretty sure you want to get that rolling. What's like the next step looking like for you guys and moving forward?
Sure. So we're trying to finalize some box art right now so that we can have a pretty image to show at Gen Con. But that is a smaller part of the larger graphic design that's going on right now. So the current plan is to get that graphic design wrapped up so we have finalized assets for the tableaus and the cards, fix all the terrible iconography that I've developed because I'm not an expert in conveying information the best way. Like if you guys remember, like, oh, blue turns into yellow, yellow turns into black, and it's just like this thing. Having a professional say like, well, we don't need colors, we can have this system, and no one has to remember anything because it's in the mechanic, right? So, graphic design is a big part right now, and then once that's done, then I could start to be a little bit more public with trying to show off the game and maybe do some advertising and try to do more conventions and stuff. And I think a really good goal for me would be to have this project launching on Kickstarter sometime in the middle of next year.
Okay, so towards next year, that's the goal. I think it's feasible. It's pretty possible. I mean, you're already making the moves for it, which is awesome. With that, stuff like that. Omar, do you want to give some final thoughts before we wrap up here? That way we don't take Jared's time anymore. He's got a busy man. He's a busy man getting ready. He's got to keep going with this board game. We're keeping him from creating this masterpiece over here. Omar, what are some final thoughts when it comes to this board game?
No, I mean, just keep on doing what you're doing, man. This game's coming out great. You know, I really enjoyed it. Every time I played, again, I talked to Vic. I'm like, hey, man, listen up, Jared. I want to play the game. You know, most of the time, you know, but yeah, man, you're doing a great job. You know, no complaints here. You know, I want to see this game grow. You know, I do see it going on, and you know, great future for you and the game. You know, and hopefully see some expansions coming out. You know. And you know, down the road, of course, you know. And one suggestion I do recommend, you know, I'll back you on Kickstarter. I just want your signature on the box.
Same, but yes, man. Like my closing thoughts for that. Amazing game, great hook. You got me hooked when you messaged me on Instagram about this game that you got going, the Telesis thing. You got me hooked. I know Omar would have gotten hooked because when you mentioned mechs, I'm like, all right, Omar's in. And Scott, and I'm pretty sure Scott agrees whenever he's here. Hey, Scott, do you agree? Yeah, I do agree. Okay, so cool. He agrees. He agrees. We were all three of us. We play tested it on Tabletop Simulator. So cool, guys. You can find it on Tabletop Simulator if you guys have that going. They just type in Exoterra on the workshop, right? They'll be able to find it.
Yep, they'll be able to find it. We'll put a link on the podcast, I'm sure. And then there's a website. So it's Wylde Games, WYLDE Games, and you can see all the information and the links and all that good stuff.
Interesting. Okay, yeah, I'll definitely do that. Quickly, what's the meaning behind Wylde Games? So, is that a certain thing?
That's my little boy's middle name, Archer Wylde.
So, nice. Nice.
Cool.
I love it. Yeah, that's a cool way. Wylde Games, guys. You guys got the website. I'll leave a link on that as well. Check out this game. I'm talking to you guys, my board geek family, guys that are deep into the rooted world of board gaming. Check this game out if you like mechs, if you like strategy where you have to think, where you build and love your jacket. I mean, I loved my jacket when I built it. It was cool, man. I was doing crazy stuff over here. I mean, Omar was over there just blasting away, and I'm over here doing stealth recon missions over here. And I'm like, all right, you take the aggro, bro. I'll take over.
Fist fighting, man. Fist fighting, bro.
Yeah, exactly. You throwing hands. You were throwing hands over there with them robots, bro. I was over here just chilling, stealing stuff. I'm like, yeah, that's cool, bro. You do your thing. But yeah, like I said, that's how attached we got to these jackets that you created, man. And you struck gold with that, and it's awesome. And like I said, I can't rave enough about this game. This game is awesome. Again, I'm a supporter of all creators of board games. I love any type of board games, and you hit this one good, and I believe it's gonna pop off. You're just there. You're working hard. You're putting in the effort. Word of encouragement, just keep going. Just keep going, man. I mean, there'll be times, obviously, I'm pretty sure as a board gamer that you might feel discouraged, like, this is not going anywhere, it's not doing anything like that. Keep at it, man. You got your fan base backing you up. You got people backing you up, my man. Omar's backing you up. I know he does because he tells me.
Yeah,
Okay.
very.
But yeah, exactly. Yeah, just keep pushing forward, man. You're gonna get this going. You're gonna get rolling. I mean, it sounds like you already. I mean, you're at Gen Con, bro. You made it. What are you talking about? You're already there. You're there, bro. Like, enough said. Like, I don't know what else. Like, I don't know why this game's not at Target already. Like, or like my local board game store. But yes, I mean, you got it going. You got to go in here. We'll wrap up the podcast here. That way you can get back to work or what you got to do over there and stuff like that. Jared, thank you so much for joining us. Any closing thoughts? I mean, you want to do quick? You already kind of plugged in your website and tabletop. Anywhere else that they can find you? Any Instagram you want to plug in or any type of TikToks or whatever you got going and stuff like that?
Yeah, sure. Thanks for the words of encouragement, guys, and thanks for the time today. You can check the website out, but honestly, I would love to get you on Discord. We've got Instagram, and you can see some, images and art and learn about concepts and stuff. But Discord is where we talk about the design, and we talk, we get you to playtest group. We can chat about the art or the universe or whatever the case is. So that's also on the website.
There you go. So we'll leave a link. We'll leave a link on all of that. And yeah, guys, check it out. I can't rave enough again. Sorry, I love this game.
A lot of people should be playtesting this game a lot, So
you should,
again, sorry, yeah. Love this game. Sorry.
No, definitely. And I hope you have a great time at Gen Con, man. I can't wait to see the photos, see all the crowds that are joined up. I mean, you already said you're already fully booked, so that's a good sign right there that people are very interested in this game. You got something. Jared, thank you so much for joining us. Omar, thank you so much for joining us. Give us your thoughts on the game. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you guys. Leave a comment below. Let us know if you've tried out Exoterra. Let us know in the comments below and let us know your thoughts. Join the Discord page. Check out the website. And if you're at Gen Con, go check out Exoterra, the area where they're going to be at. Guys, thank you guys so much for watching. Y nos vemos para la próxima.